All right, ladies and gentlemen of Franklin County Speedway, and those of you watching on Speed51.tv, the time has come for our main event. An incredible work of collaboration between the Smart Modified Tour and the Franklin County Speedway to honor an incredible competitor, participant, father, and friend of all the racing community in Kenny Minter. Kenny Minter was one of the top drivers at Franklin County Speedway in the 1980s and 90s. He was also an avid supporter of the Smart Modified Tour. He won races in the series and also captured Rookie of the Year honors back in 1993. Unfortunately, Kenny lost his life in an accident at Callaway Speedway in 1995, and the racing world has chosen this race, this venue, and this night to remember Kenny and his legacy. His son, Kenny Minter Jr., is a hardworking crew member on the team of Brandon Ward, and they will be looking for an opportunity to pick up what would be a very sentimental victory at a track that has always meant so much to the Minter family. Again, hats go off to Langley Austin, the track promoter here at Franklin County, as well as the Smart Modified Tour, and it is because of them we are able to honor an incredible racer and friend on this night. As for the Smart Modified Tour season, this is our fourth race, and this is an event that was put together 3 weeks ago. After we found out that the postponement of Bowman Gray Stadium season opener, these drivers wanted a playground to come race, and Franklin County was more than willing to put on the show here tonight for 110 laps. This is the fourth race of the season. We've had 3 different winners so far in 2021. The season started off with Matt Hirschman going to victory lane at Callaway. We got to round number 2 at Florence, and young rookie Caleb Hetty stole the headlines by holding off Bobby Labonte at the checkered flag on a very tough and abrasive racetrack. And then, of course, South Boston. Just about a month ago, Ryan Preece, in his traditional tour-type modified, came down, and he was able to grab himself his first Smart Modified win. And he is the only driver who has gone to victory lane this season in tonight's field. He'll be looking for back-to-back wins, while there are a number of heavy hitters who are looking for their first win of the season, of which include some of the front runners in the championship standings. In fact, the top 5 have all yet to visit victory lane this season. One of them, Burt Myers, the points leader, set the fastest time in qualifying, came close, about a little less than 2/10 of breaking the track record, but ran a sub-13-second lap time in qualifying, and he is motivated to try to find victory lane. He will be starting on the outside of row 1. Jason Myers, second in points, also looking for his first win of the season. John Smith, even though he's not been the best qualifier this season, he's already captured a couple of the Carolina Drilling Blasts to the Front Awards in 2021. Might be looking for another en route to what could be his first win of the season. And then, of course, we've got Bobby Labonte. He finished second at Florence, looking for a win here today. He will be starting inside of row number 2. And Dennis Holdren, the hometown hero out of Roanoke, Virginia, he too did not have the best of qualifying efforts, but he has proven that he can get the job done no matter where he starts. All right, race fans of Franklin County Speedway, I have one question for you, and you guys wrap around nearly this entire racetrack. Are you ready for tonight's Kenny Minter Classic with the Smart Modified Tour? Let me hear it. Come on, some of you have been out here all day. I know you can give me something better than that. I want to ask you one more time. These cars, 600 horsepower for the Smart Modified Tour. Are you guys ready? That's what I'm talking about. Here to give the most famous words in motorsports, we're going to turn it over to our Virginia State Senator, Bill Stanley.
Racing is back in Franklin County. Gentlemen, start your engines!
And with that, the engines have fired, and we are getting set to go on a race that means so much to so many, especially everyone here at the Franklin County Speedway and all the representatives of the Smart Modified Tour. And those two beautiful vintage modifieds are going to lead us around for two of the parade and pace laps before they pull off and get us set to go. This racetrack was actually put together back in September of 1969. They ran a couple of dirt races on it before they paved it. But as we know, this quadrant of the country was one of the first seeds that were planted to try to grow modified racing. And the Smart Modified Tour is doing an amazing job trying to get it to redevelop its presence in this quadrant of our country. And we mentioned the history of this racetrack. It was built back in 1969 by Wilt Agee, and his son is here tonight to watch this event. So much history is going into what we're about to see. Let's take a look at the starting lineup while we have the opportunity before these quick pace laps run by. By virtue of a redraw of the top 9, Brian Lofton has inherited the pole position. That Shady Gray Racing number 15 will lead us down for the start with the point leader and quick time setter Burt Myers in car number 1 up alongside. Bobby Labonte, top 4 in points, looking for his first Smart Modified Tour win, will start third on his birthday, with Jason Myers matching the car number outside of row number 2 in fourth spot. Chuck Hosfeld, who was a runner-up last time out at South Boston, is going to round out our top 5, while Ryan Preece will try to go back-to-back before he heads over to Darlington, South Carolina for his Cup Series duties tomorrow. He will be driving that number 2 car here tonight, partnered up with Joey Coulter and Randy Renfro Motorsports. He'll start 6th. Gary Putnam back behind the wheel of his own car after Max McLaughlin had a strong run on the tour race last time out. And Frank Fleming, the only former winner of the Smart Modified Tour at Franklin County in the field, will be starting in 8th. Jeremy Gerstner out of Wesley Chapel, Florida, is going to roll off in 9th spot, while Chris Fleming rounds out your top 10. Brandon Ward back in his New Day Motorsports entry, very fast in practice. Going to be fun to watch him come from the inside of row 6. And outside, it's going to be the Mayberry Bullet in John Smith. He is honest about his qualifying efforts. Not the best this season, but he could work his way through the pack. Keep your eyes on car 24. Dennis Holdren, the hometown driver, 30 minutes up the road for him to get back to his home tonight. He'll be looking to back up the 4th place run at South Boston. Car number 07 starts 13th. Daniel Beeson and his team did an amazing job getting his car ready for this feature event. He's elected to drop to the back of the pack. He was slated to start 14th. Daniel Yates 15th. James Savali all the way back in the 16th spot. And Brian Weber takes you through your 17-car field. And we would like to note the fact that Darren Redmond was here as well. That team was battling problems with the rear suspension on that car all race long. And unfortunately, he was not able to make it out for qualifying, but he is going to be watching along with all of us. 1 to go from our chief starter in J.B. Cole from the Racing Electronics flag stand. And we are getting set to get underway. A couple of rules we're going to try to pass along to you viewers, one of which the tire rule that has made this series so popular. When they come into the racetrack, they have the ability to buy just 5 tires. The 4 they bolt on for qualifying, and they have just 1 change tire. They could swap, and we've seen it before. We've seen them mix things up with the back tires or the left side tires, but they only got 1 sticker in the pits. The question is, when are they going to bolt it on? Also, we will have the Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage break at lap 40, but we're about to get this race underway. The Hannibasson Road Collision Center Kenny Minter Classic, presented by Smart Chevrolet, is green. And look at a launch from the outside of the front row for Burt Myers. He's able to go to the lead over Brian Lofton in turn 3. Lap 1 goes to car 1, the quick time setter. Myers leads lap 1. Jason Myers trying to work the outside of the track here as we got smoke coming from Brian Weber's car at the tail end, and the caution is out because of fluid on the racetrack. Brian Weber, who now ducks onto the pit lane, apparently laid down some fluid. We're going to do a quick check of the racing surface, and that will slow this field early with only 1 lap officially completed, again, of the scheduled 110. We talked earlier about that Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage break. That is something which is not just an initiative to try to mix up the racing. There's some cash on the line. $300 goes to the driver who crosses the line in P1, $200 for the second place finisher, and $300 for the driver, or make that $100 for the driver who finishes in third. And of course, Jerry Hunt Supercenter, a longtime supporter of modified racing in this area. And I want to remind everybody, if you're looking for a premier North Carolina dealer with a huge selection of used and certified vehicles, you got to check out Jerry Hunt Supercenter. You can visit them online at jerryhuntsupercenter.com or stop by their Greensboro dealership located in Lexington, North Carolina. That's Jerry Hunt Supercenter. We buy more, we sell more, you save more. Jerry Hunt Supercenter, the official sponsor of the Smart Modified Tour, Jerry Hunt Supercenter Stage Break. We mentioned earlier how Frank Fleming is one of the only drivers in the field, in fact, the only driver in the field who has gone to victory lane at a Smart Modified Tour event. Well, there hasn't been one here since back in 1999. They actually ran 5 races here, 3 of which were back in 1996. And this is our Justin Mincy fact of the race. Justin does a great job providing some press releases for us, getting ready to get race ready, as a matter of fact. The Smart Tour ran those 5 events here, 5 different winners. Gary Myers, Junior Miller, Jay Foley, Roger Hill, and of course Frank Fleming, who's trying to become the only potential repeat winner in a Smart sanctioned race here at Franklin County. Another item we're going to be talking about tonight is going to be that of the Citrus Safe Choose Comb. Now, the rule works very similar to how you see the choose work in other forms of motorsports. Same thing that you would see in NASCAR's Top 3 Series as well. They'll roll that out onto the front straightaway, and the drivers will elect to pick the top lane or the bottom lane for how they want to line up for the upcoming restart. It's created a lot of drama already this season. Let's see what it's going to do here on this high bank 3/8 mile oval. Continuing to do a little bit of a check there around the exit of turn number 1, it looks like. And we'll keep our eyes here on our chief starter, J.B. Cole. And it looks as though we are going to see the drivers trying to work things in here just a little bit. And the one. And because we did not complete a lap, or all cars did not complete a lap, we're actually going to re-rack the field and start them over in their original spot. So this is a chance of redemption here for Brian Lofton, who initially lost the lead on the first green flag, as Myers got a great run on the outside of turn 2. So let's try this again for the Hannibasson Road Collision Center. Kenny Minter Classic, presented by Smart Chevrolet, the 4th race of the 2021 season. Lofton and Burt Myers bring us down for the start. Lofton's able to keep it interesting on the back straightaway, but Myers has the advantage. He slips up wide off 4, side by side for the lead at the line. Boy, Myers is so good there on the outside of 1 and 2, and he's going to cement the lead on the backstretch with Lofton falling to second. How about Ryan Preece working the outside early? That 2 car is up into the 4th spot after starting outside of row 3. Another car that looked really good in practice as well, Bobby Labonte in the 25 Cookout entry. He's hugging the bottom of the racetrack, trying to draw even with Preece, while Chuck Hosfeld fills the hole on the outside. Preece will cement 4th. Hosfeld, by about a half a car length in turn 3, starting to edge closer and closer to the back bumper of Preece's car on the front stretch to take over what would be the final spot in the top 5. And now Frank Fleming is going to try to work the high side on Labonte. And Hosfeld darts low. What a move by Chuck Hosfeld. Sliced his way to the inside to try to get by Preece, and he's got the pass made for 4th. And how about James Savali? What a charge up through the pack early. He's got himself to the outside of Chris Fleming, trapped behind Frank Fleming in the 40 as a fight for the lead ensues in 3. Lofton on the bottom. Burt Myers, the point leader up top. And Brian Lofton is to the point. Coming up on the back here, Brian Weber, the lap car. He's going to stay down low. And Lofton, the leader. Burt Myers, second. Weber way off the pace on the back straightaway. Top 5 get by. Oh, that's tight there. It's double wide battle there between Brandon Ward and Holdren. Stuffs them up near the fence. As as Weber falls to the TL cleanly. Brian Lofton, since getting up to the race lead, trying to open up that advantage over Myers, while Savali is starting to get really aggressive there in that race with Bobby Labonte. Frank Fleming up into the top 5. He told us pre-race he thought he had something for the field here tonight. And Savali muscles Priest up out of the groove. That was close for your South Boston winner. Almost got to the wall off 4. Things finally start to settle out in that race for 6th on back with Savali rocketing his way up through the field. He's already starting to pencil his name down as a driver who may be able to pick up that Carolina Drilling blast to the front. He started 16th outside of row 8, and he's already one spot shy of the top 5. 14 laps complete. Again, that stage break going to come at lap 40. Myers, Hosfeld, and Jason Myers. And problems for Brandon Ward, the New Day Motorsports car. And they were so looking forward to this race. The sentimental favorite for the Kenny Minter Classic is on pit lane under green with a problem. Absolute heartbreaker for Brandon Ward as we continue to click off green flag laps. Here's the fight for 5th. Savali, Fleming, lap car on the bottom. Savali makes the pass and slides up wide. Boy, Savali is not done passing cars yet. We talked about tire strategy coming into tonight's race. Many of the drivers thought about trying to take it easy in the opening part of this race. Maybe think about coming down and bolting that new tire on a little bit later in the going, but Savali appears to have one agenda, and that is get to the front now, and he's by Myers, Jason Myers that is, for 4th. Brian Lofton still out in front. He drew the pole after not having the best of qualifying runs earlier in the day. Top 9 redrew 4th position. Burt Myers lurking there in 2nd with Chuck Hosfeld, who is very confident about his chances here as this race got underway. Things starting to tighten up for 2nd spot. It's about to be a 3-car battle with Myers falling back into the clutches of Hosfeld and Savali. Spoke to Savali pre-race, and he mentioned that he and his entire Hillbilly Motorsports operation, they were ready to play. A little bit of a warning shot there to Hosfeld as they come out of 4. Savali is on the move. Hosfeld's going to run up wide, and off of turn number 2, here comes Savali to 3rd. Savali with a big slide off turn 4. He's been the most exciting car to watch. Hosfeld now bottlenecking the field back up there from 4th, 5th, 6th, and respectively, with Ryan Priest electing to kind of bide his time after getting shuffled out early. Car off the pace, turn 4, that's Gary Putnam, who is going to enter the pit area just before the leaders get to the back dirt bar. Battle for 4th now working its way around the outside of Brian Weber, who continues to struggle in that car that he put together here. Has a big message for all the moms out there. Happy Mother's Day adorning the back of that number 76 this weekend, and we will echo those sentiments as well. Happy Mother's Day to all who are in attendance, all who may be watching. Without moms, there's no way that any of us would be where we are today. Labonte on Fleming. Trying to get down low as they come out of turn 4. Clipped the curbing that time a little bit there, did Bobby Labonte. And here comes Savali on Burt Myers for the runner-up spot. Labonte was able to get by Fleming. Now it's Myers and Savali nose to tail for 2nd. Savali looking underneath, trying to get the Nerf bar up inside. And Savali's got the pass made. Boy, Savali, after starting back in 16th spot, he wants some of that Jerry Hunt Super Center stage money. Lofton with a healthy lead. Is it going to be enough time for Savali to try and get there? While Myers and Hosfeld are going to fight for the last cash-paying position before we come to the end of the stage at lap 40. Lofton coming up on the back of Brian Weber again. We'll see if that is going to slow him down as Priest and Labonte have a fight for position further back. Do a quick check of the running order here as we're about 5 laps away from the end of this stint. Brian Lofton, the leader. James Savali with the incredible charge up to second place. Burt Myers, the quick time setter, appears to be just biding his time in third. Hosfeld fourth, and Jason Myers, who is second in points coming into tonight's race. Rounding out your top 5, trouble. Chris Fleming off turn 4. Caution is going to fly for the first time in this race, and it is Chris Fleming. Fleming, who is running by himself at the tail end of a battle within the top 10. And the driver out of Mount Airy, North Carolina, loops it off turn 4. And that will officially be the first yellow that we see in this race. Remember, the first one happened before lap 1 was complete. And that will come 5 laps shy of the Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage break. Fortunately for Fleming, that car spun at a unique spot on the racetrack that he did not make any significant contact. And Chris will get that car righted and rejoin the tail end of the field. Talking to a lot of drivers in the pit area about what the agenda was tonight as far as tires. And we'll reiterate this fact. There's only one available sticker for all these drivers here in the pit area. They can't bolt on 2 or 4 tires. It's only one. Some may elect to put it on the right rear. Some may elect to put it on the right front. It's contingent on the setup and the way in which these drivers choose to attack this high bank 3/8 mile oval. And they also have the ability to swap some of the tires that are on these cars. Back in South Boston, we saw drivers swapping left side tires late in the run. Dennis Holdren is going to take this opportunity to come down to the pit lane for service. It looks like they're doing a bit of an adjustment there on that car. But in talking to some of the competitors leading up to this event, nobody wanted to disclose what their plan was as far as tire strategy. In talking to Frank Fleming, he said that they really haven't figured out what they were going to do just yet. He said they kind of had to wait and see how the race would unfold, and that may be why nobody was willing to disclose what their plans may be. We just don't know how this race is going to run, how abrasive this surface may be, and just how much some of these guys may be hanging back. But the one guy who is not is Savali. And after it looked like he was too far back to be able to get up and around Brian Lofton for that Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage win, he is going to be perhaps right alongside or on the back Nerf bar of Lofton's car as they come to the Citrus Safe Shoes Cone. Lofton, who lost the lead on the opening lap on the bottom, is going to elect the inside and give Savali a shot at it up top. Burt Myers elects to choose the bottom. He's going to be inside row 2. Hosfeld up top. And Jason Myers, your top 5. Field's going to be coming to the Fatheads restart zone. It's the green portion of the wall that is painted before the pit gate. And we'll tell you a little bit more about our friends at Fatheads Eyewear because they got a really cool promo going on for you Smart Modified Tour fans. And being that Dennis Holdren's going to come out and rejoin the field, we'll add a lap to this restart. So let's tell you about that now. Mother's Day right around the corner, or with the warmer weather now finally here in this area. Great opportunity for you to check out our friends at Fatheads Eyewear. If you use the promo code SMART, S-M-A-R-T, at checkout, you will save 40% on your next pair of sunglasses. And again, that is courtesy of our friends at Fatheads Eyewear. Proud sponsor of the Smart Modified Tour, Fatheads Restart Zone, which they are approaching now. Lofton and Savali, the hard charger early in this race. Burt Myers, the quick time setter. $300 on the line to win this stage. We're back on the way. Savali up top's got it done to the lead. And Chuck Hosfeld's trying to take second away on the outside as well. Oh, Burt Myers nearly got the wall as he slid up in front of Ryan Priest. Myers to third. Lofton falling way back on this restart as Savali parades the field to the line. Top line appears to be where you want to be. Here comes Ryan Priest up on the outside of Burt Myers for third. It may not be time to chase the trophy just yet, but it's certainly almost money time. Savali, Hosfeld, Priest, your top three. Going to be getting set here to give out this Jerry Hunt Super Center Stage win. Savali and Hosfeld nose to tail as they come through 3 and 4. Hosfeld looks outside. They stack up to the line. Savali leads them to the 40-lap caution, and he takes the Jerry Hunt Super Center Stage win. Wow, if that was a teaser to what we're going to see coming to the checkers, boy, Savali really slowed up the middle of the corner there to make sure that Hosfeld couldn't get a run, and he cements $300 in the pocket going to he and that Hillbilly Motorsports team. 16th to the lead in just 40 laps for Savali, but what does he have left as far as rubber underneath that EME Industrial and Body Armor number 79? Savali picks up the stage win. Hosfeld's going to finish second. He'll walk away with $200. And Ryan Priest, by virtue of that late charge up and around Burt Myers, will pick up $100 by virtue of his third place finish here at lap 40. While Brian Weber is able to take advantage of the wave around here, the free pass. He was the only car that was one lap down, still on the racetrack. Waving by the pit entry, so that means this is a chance for these drivers to come in for fresh tires or adjustments, and it looks as though the thought that you want to save that change tire till late in the race is going to apply to most of the field. Frank Fleming elects to come down for service after he fell through the field late in that run, and Dennis Holdren is back in for the second time, and they are going to put that sticker tire, it looks like, on Fleming's right rear. Now, Fleming could still come down later and swap some of the tires around, but that will be the one and only sticker that he's able to put on that car. And he's going to have to try to make it last for the rest of this race. And you see the sticker on Fleming's car as he re-enters the racetrack down in turn number 1. And that's it. They do have an emergency spare if approved in the pits as well. In the event a driver should have a flat. Typically it's a left side tire that is at their disposal. But that is the only chance that Frank Fleming is going to take. He said that him and that team, they came up with about 3 different scenarios. And I guess the way in which this race is playing out, the autosbynelson.com and William E. Smith Trucking number 40. We're going to have to see what he elects to do here. The question now becomes for Fleming at the restart, is he going to try to hang back and just ensure he doesn't lose a lap in this next run as the field comes to the Citrus Safe restart cone, with Savali electing the top side? So first time today, we've seen a driver elect the outside of the front row for the upcoming restart. Chuck Hosfeld's going to choose the bottom. We'll see what he could do on the inside. The outside has been the preferred lane off of turn 2. We'll come around here on our chief starter and J.B. Cole. Going to wait one more lap as we wait for a couple of cars to catch the tail end of the pack. And there are some unconfirmed reports. There may be oil on the racetrack, so we'll take a quick look at that before we get back underway.
Track officials are going to check the racing surface to make sure there is not some fluid that has been laid down. We talked about how this race has unfolded already, 40 laps in, and a couple of heavy hitters have already had some misfortune and problems. Daniel Beeson, somebody who we mentioned started at the back of the field. We thought that may be a bit of a start and park effort. That was not intentional. They came here to race. Beeson, if you will go back and watch our coverage of the race at Callaway, our season opener, that car had an accident where it went straight into the wall. The cause was that the power steering was overheated. And once it had had enough, he just wasn't able to keep the car pointed in the right direction, and it shot him up into the wall. It took them a long time to dissect the problem, and unfortunately, they did not have everything they needed to fix it right. And Beeson, who made the trip out here for this event tonight out of Kernersville, North Carolina, in the Smart Chevrolet number 44, was only able to turn a lap here and be credited with a shotgun place finish in the final running order. But hats off to Beeson and company. That team worked all day long and tried to source however many parts they could to fix that issue, and they just weren't able to get it done entirely. But that is the old school methodology of what modified racing is all about. He's got an incredible crew with him, and they unfortunately came up a little bit shy. We hope to see Beeson back in action with us in some of our upcoming races. We also saw Brandon Ward in that New Day Motorsports entry. We called him the sentimental favorite for the driver out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And we saw Brandon in competition in that Randy Renfro and Coulter Motorsports number 2 throughout the season. But when the opportunity came to shake down this car, Ward, who was very, very excited to be here at Franklin County, a track where he won a handful of the races that were held for the Bowman Gray Stadium drivers in 2020 when their season was canceled. He was hyped to get here at the racetrack. And unfortunately, a mechanical problem early has put he and that team on the sidelines, and they are watching the rest of this one along with you fans, whether it be here at the track or at home watching on Speed 51 TV. Citrus Safe Choose Cone is out once again. And it looks as though the front row is going to remain the same on what was our first attempt at a restart before we check the track for some oil. And Chris Honeycutt will bring that Citrus Safe Choose Cone back to safety. Chief starter J.B. Cole will give the field 1 to go. So Savali, the leader, and one of the fastest cars on a racetrack. But the question is, will he be able to sustain that speed for the final 70-lap run to the finish? Or will somebody like Chuck Hosfeld, who has methodically kept his way up towards the front of the field, be able to find a way around and try to perfect the tire strategy? It's Savali, the leader, outside. Hosfeld inside for this upcoming restart. Priest and Burt Myers, your top 4 as they hit the Fathead restart zone. We're back underway, and Savali got a great launch. And Hosfeld slips wide. Here comes Priest down to the bottom. That's the race for second, all 4. And from this point forward, there are no more scheduled stage breaks. Tire conservation is going to be a big storyline here as we see some drivers already trying to work their way back to the front. Savali, Hosfeld, Priest, your top 3. Burt Myers in fourth, and Brian Lofton, who led the opening laps in this race, rounds out your top 5, with Chris Williams just behind, ahead of a side-by-side battle between Bobby Labonte and Jason Myers. Labonte will have the edge off of turn number 2. He will move that car up into the 7th spot for the time being. Hosfeld is starting to close in on Savali for the race lead. Hosfeld hunting the top. He's going to try to cross them over all 4. Look at Hosfeld go inside of Savali. They almost come together in turn 1. Chuck Hosfeld and James Savali wheel to wheel for the race lead out of 4. And Hosfeld, for the first time today, goes to the lead. Boy, Savali almost got up into the wall that time out of 2. Priest wants none of it. He's going topside. Boy, Savali may be paying the price for that early charge to the front. The driver out of Meriden, Connecticut, who has been so fun to watch this season. Remember back in Florence, they didn't even hit the racetrack after a problem underneath the hood of that car. Put that team out of the race. He came back to South Boston, worked his way up through the field there, now is trying to finally get one of the results that team has so well deserved throughout the season, but he is falling down the running order. One driver is going the other way. Is that a Bobby Labonte? He's starting to move his way forward. Caution. Turn 4, Jeremy Gerstner. Gerstner, who has one of the longest commutes to race in the Smart Modified Tour, who hails from Wesley Chapel, Florida. Running for his own race team this season, and as of this point in the season, he continues to be pretty much a driver crew chief operation. He's got a lot of really good help in the pit area with this GMR Motorsports team. He's a 2-time Southern Modified Series champion. And it looked as though at the first part of this race, Gerstner was biding his time. This time, though, after that spin in turn 4, he's going to duck right onto the pit area. And the team will have a quick look and see if there's anything they can do to get that 55 back on the racetrack. So second caution of the race due to an incident, third overall. First time we saw Chris Fleming spin on lap 35. Of course, we had the Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage break on lap 40. And now the field is slowed here on lap 48 after Gerstner has a slide in the same spot where Fleming went around earlier. And we saw a good bit of driving by Frank Fleming to avoid the stationary car. Now, so far, according to my notes, the only driver who came in and put on a fresh sticker tire, that may change here as Savali hits the pit lane, was that of Fleming, and he was trailing the field by a lot. We see some attention going here to the left side of the car. No change tire out for Savali just yet. Holdren is down here as well. And we've got Jason Myers in the pit area as well. So some of the cars which were starting to fade down in the running order, coming in for what could be some adjustments, but the majority of them electing to save that sticker for later in this event. And boy, James Holdren and company, they have been struggling. Holdren was someone that we talked to pre-race as well, and he said that granted, anytime that he's able to run a race like this in his home state, let alone 30 minutes from Roanoke, Virginia, Holdren is usually very competitive because he's got that hometown stride in his step. The driver of the Mike Dowdy-owned Clarence Steakhouse and Hayes Jewelers 07. Fresh off a top 5 finish at South Boston, but basically every time the yellow flag has waved, Holdren has brought that car into the pit lane for the attention of his crew members, and they can't quite seem to figure out what may be costing that car some speed. Myers also is going to come back in while they finish up work on Savali's entry, as the handle has appeared to go away. And as we approach about a quarter past the 7 o'clock hour here at Franklin County Speedway, the sun is continuing to set, and if it ducks behind some of the foliage that represents this area and this incredible part of Virginia, that is certainly going to change the way in which this track handles. Matter of fact, the majority of the racetrack is already covered in shade. Pretty much from turn 2 all the way around to the exit of turn 4 is currently covered by some shade. Only the front straightaway in turn 1 has a little bit of direct sunlight still on it, so that could be impacting the way that some of these cars are starting to drive at this point in the race. We mentioned a lot of the contingency awards that are up for grabs with the Smart Modified Tour. As we hit the one-to-go signal this time through, we'll get set to restart next time by. We mentioned it was Burt Myers who won the Precision Built Spindles Pole Award. They also award a bit of a contingency prize for the driver who sets the fastest lap of the race. Of course, we have the Fatheads Restart Zone, the Citrus Safe Choose Cone we've seen many times, and our Carolina Drilling Blast to the Front Award. Early qualifier Savali is going to have to try to do it all over again here if he wants to lock that down. Here they come. Back to the restart. Priest and Hospel wheel to wheel at the line. These two battled for the win at South Boston, and they're battling for the lead here at Franklin County. Ryan Priest edges back out to the race lead. Priest to the lead. Hospel second. Brian Lofton back up into the top 3 after he faded early. Nearly some contact between Hospel and Priest in the battle up front. And Another car that is slowly starting to make some noise is that cookout number 25 of Bobby Labonte. Labonte, whose best finish in modified competition with the Smart Modified Tour, was second at Florence. Another abrasive racetrack, while Hosfeld gets the lead back in 3 and 4. What a race at the front of the pack. Hosfeld and Priest can't decide who wants to lead this thing right now as they've traded the top spot a couple of times in the last handful of laps, with Lofton arriving on the scene. Burt Myers running in 4th, Bobby Labonte in 5th. And how about Chris Fleming? First car to have problems in this race today. Fleming has been able to cycle his way back up into 6th, 1 spot shy of the top 5, but the leaders come back to the stripe here and work lap 55. Hosfeld, Priest, continue to run 1 and 2. Everybody now pretty much finding their groove and trying to commit to whatever strategy they've elected to pull here at this point in the race. A lot of cars still have a fresh sticker tire in the pit. When will they come if an opportunity presents itself? Starting to see Brian Lofton turn up the heat in that battle for second. Gets a good run there in the center of 3 and 4. Lofton's car is so good in the middle of the corner as he pulls right up to the backside of Priest's 2. Myers waiting in the wings, trying to find some running room. Labonte takes a tighter exit off turn 4 to get a good run down the straightaway. Top 5 all look to be pretty evenly matched right now. Lofton looking inside. Priest shuts the door. Boy, Lofton is really wanting to go here. Priest runs up about a quarter of a car length off the bottom. Lofton's able to hug the inside, and there is a little bit of curbing here, similar to what you would see at the Martinsville half mile. There is a bit of yellow curbing that separates the transition for the racetrack to the grass that outlines the inside of the corners, and if you catch that with the left front tire, it could stump you hard on the fence. Now we're starting to see Hosfeld back it down just a little bit here, with Priest closing in on him. Top 3 in a league of their own. Meanwhile, Chris Fleming is starting to fall back into the clutches of Daniel Yates. John Smith has made the pass for 6. Fleming runs in 7. Daniel Yates in 8. 9th is going to be down to Frank Fleming as the fight for the lead intensifies. Burt Myers had a bit of a slip there in 4th spot. Ran up the racetrack in 1 and 2. But look at this battle. Caution, Savali, turn 2. And the driver who charged through this field from 16th spot to a Jerry Hunt Supercenter stage win is now backwards in turn 2. Fourth caution of the race. It comes out on lap number 64. So we have eclipsed the halfway point in this Kenny Minner Classic 110 lapper for the 4th race of the 2021 Smart Modified season. And so far, the racing at the head of the field has been phenomenal. We've seen so many different leaders, so many drivers who have been able to get up there and log some laps down at the front of the pack. And this is going to be a chance here once they open the pit lane. Right now it is still closed with the official that is stationed over in turn 4. This may be where we see the most movement as far as these teams getting set to bolt on that one sticker tire they have at their disposal. Drivers going to come to the pit road open signal by the official down on the inside of 3 and 4. All of them hugging the bottom of the racetrack, and the pit lane may get very busy here as we pass the halfway point, and here they come. Hosfeld first to his pit stall. Priest slides his way through, and check this out. Hosfeld not sure where they're going to put that tire on yet. They have it at the back of the car, while Ryan Preece appears to be going with a fresh right front tire. So a different strategy call by the drivers who were top two in this race. Preece wants that sticker on the right front. Hosfeld wants it on the right rear. We're going to follow that as the race continues to unfold. Brian Lofton changing the right rear on his car as well. Burt Myers doing the same, as is that of John Smith. So Ryan Preece perhaps maybe trying to outsmart this field, or think that perhaps it is able to put him in a position here to work his way back towards the front. Still doing some work down on Frank Fleming's car. Savali after the spin, getting set to get back underway. Looks like there's more than just a tire change going on Preece's car. They're putting a lot of attention to the right rear of that Randy Renfro and Joey Coulter Motorsports entry, which has an incredible message on the back of it. In fact, they partnered up with the Darrell Gwynn Foundation, has that entry. And that is one of the only supporting sponsor logos they have on that car. Just an absolutely incredible initiative that the Darrell Gwynn Foundation has put in place. And a great gesture by that team to take some of the available space that they have for marketing partners and benefit it off to such an incredible cause, as Preece will rejoin the racetrack here. Burt Myers coming back down for a second time. And as we mentioned earlier, even though these teams only have that one tire in the pits, they do have a bit of maneuverability. If they want to swap tires at any point, come down for adjustments. It is one of the unique cost-saving initiatives that this series has been able to provide, and we believe it is a huge part in why this series has been able to grow and sustain the level of participation that we have had, especially with a race that was thrown together in the last 3 weeks. Sure, the conversations took place earlier than that, but it has been incredible to watch the Franklin County Speedway and the Smart Modified Tour come together and put this on, so that way a lot of these drivers have a playground to come have some fun and tack it on to what has already been a stacked 2021 season. While a couple of cars finish up their duties down on the pit lane, let's cycle back to some of our storylines that we had coming into tonight's race. One of which was the fact that we have had no repeat winners in this 2021 season. The only driver who can eclipse that record is going to be that of Ryan Preece. If you watch that car on the front straightaway, a reminder, he is the only driver that I was able to see from my vantage point who put that fresh change tire on the right front. The majority of the contenders that he is racing in and around elected to put that new tire on the right rear. Let's see how the rest of this race unfolds. The Citrus Safe Shoes cone is on the main straightaway, and a smart Chevrolet Pace truck will navigate its way by. Daniel Yates, by virtue of pit strategy, is the leader. Frank Fleming, who came down early for his new tire, will line up in second, with Bobby Labonte third, Brian Lofton fourth, and Jacques Hosfeld in fifth. Jason Myers, who, as we heard earlier, looking for his first win of the season. He mentioned it's been about 2 years since Myers has been able to go to victory lane in his really successful and illustrious motorsports career. Multi-time winner of what was then the NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Tour. Multi-time winner at Bowman Gray Stadium. Looking to add his name to the list of winners in Smart Modified Tour competition. He's run a very clean and smart race. It'll be restarting on the outside of row 3. Preece with that new right front inside row 4 and 7. Dennis Holdren. They've been making wholesale changes on that car throughout this event. 8th, Chris Fleming and John Smith, your top 10 as we get set to get back underway. 64 laps complete of 110. Daniel Yates and Frank Fleming lead us down to the restart. Frank Fleming trying to make the outside work, as we've seen many times today, and Fleming to the point. Jason Myers shoved way up the racetrack. He's going to lose some spots off 4. Brian Lofton using the outside, while Bobby Labonte's kind of trapped behind Yates' car on the backstretch. Here comes Hosfeld up top. Here comes Preece up top. Boy, Labonte just cannot get up off the bottom right now. Hosfeld's going to make the move. Get by Daniel Yates for third. Preece follows. Labonte nearly touches the back dirt bar. Yates' car off turn 4. That was close. Chris Fleming has moved up into 6th, while Yates in that strategy call does not appear to be panning out. But for the time being, the only other Smart Modified Tour winner in the field at Franklin County leads this race. And car 40 comes to the line here, clicking laps off quickly, but Brian Lofton is trying to close. Let's talk about the season that Brian Lofton has had. That Shady Gray Racing team came out of the gate swinging in 2020. Two-time winner on the 4 Smart Sanction races that were held last year. Obviously, the pandemic played a role in how that slate of races came about. But Lofton, by virtue of being able to lay down solid results, podium finish back at Florence. But if it wasn't for those strong finishes, it was either bad luck or no good luck or no luck at all for Lofton. Lofton was involved in a crash at South Boston while trying to work his way through the pack, and he is hunting the lead on Fleming as they come out of 4. Top 2 is about to become a top 3. Lofton going way high, hits the wall. No, he just barely scrubbed the fence. Lofton way up the racetrack, and he caught the wall out of 4 momentarily. Thought he might be able to keep it off of it, but he did rub the right front on the concrete retaining wall on the main straightaway. Cost him 2nd, but he keeps the race car. That's going to move Chuck Osvald into runner-up position while Fleming starts to wash wide off the bottom. Osvald and company have about 30 laps fresher tires, or tire, I should say, than that of Fleming, who pitted early. Some heavy racing going on in the middle of the pack when the top 5 is kind of strung out. A couple of drivers trying to buy their time and steam their stuff. John Smith is ahead of that gaggle of cars. Savali in there as well. Chris Fleming losing spots to Burt Myers and Dennis Holdren, while Jason Myers, after that incredible save off turn 4, a lap after the restart, trails that group. We'll flash up further forward to the race leaders as Frank Fleming is doing a masterful job. The 60-year-old driver out of Mount Airy, North Carolina. Last time out for Fleming, he was involved in a hard crash with Tim Brown at South Boston while battling for the lead. And here comes Osvald, trying to get a wheel inside of Fleming for the top spot, but he's not quite there yet. While that fight for the lead comes up on the back some lap traffic, Lofton trying to make the outside work on Osvald for 2nd. Here they come on Brian Weber. They'll put Weber a lap down again here off turn 4. Daniel Yates, who restarted on the front row, is now in danger of falling a lap behind as Lofton continues to work the outside of Osvald. Now down the inside comes Brian Lofton. And while things settle out, we want to pass along that we're having a report that Tim Brown, after that accident we were talking about between he and Frank Fleming at South Boston, gave us a bit of a scare. Brown is home, waiting for his opportunity to get back behind the wheel of his race car. And we extend our best wishes to Tim Brown. And we have a problem on the racetrack. Caution is out. Jason Myers with a problem in turn number 2. We mentioned how he fell down outside the top 5, got pushed up wide at the exit of turn number 4 after that restart. And with 84 laps complete, it is Myers who finds a problem over off the exit of turn number 2. So while the field slows, Myers is going to rejoin the tail end of the pack. I want to mention something that Myers and his team is doing that is just absolutely incredible. He's racing an appreciation for Officer Sean Houle. He's with the Kernersville Police Department, and he was shot while in the line of duty a couple of months ago. Sean has since returned home from the hospital where he will continue his recovery. But on one of the rear panels of Jason Myers' car, he has a sticker honoring that of Sean Houle, and he has pledged that he will be joining him in his recovery efforts as far as support and he continues to display that level of support here at Franklin County Speedway. Was running up towards the front of the pack. Myers second. Jason Myers at his second in championship point standings coming into tonight's race. However, he's got some work to do here as the laps continue to click off really quick. You see Brian Weber on the front straightaway being forced to relinquish the lap that he tried to get back there as he was not the first car on the tail end of the lead lap. Myers and Yates are going to elect to come down. We saw Yates pretty much fall from one end of the field to the other in that green flag run. As this is the fifth caution of the race. Officials have noticed a little bit of smoke that has been coming out from the PSR Racing number 17 of Chuck Hosfeld. They're going to pull Chuck down here on the main straightaway and try to give it a quick check here to see if there is, in fact, any fluid coming out from underneath that car. Chris Honeycutt down there looking for the opportunity to verify that that smoke is not, in fact, coming from Hosfeld's car. And the word is that Chuck is good. He's going to be able to roll his way back up in a second spot, as there is no fluid evidently coming from the driver who finished second to last time out, looking for victory for the first time this season. Chuck Hosfeld did an amazing interview on the Speed 51 TV Bull Ring, a show that airs on Mondays and Thursdays, helping recap the racing action. And then, of course, it is helping preview some of the upcoming events. Burt Myers was on the show this past Thursday, talking to Alan Dietz and Wesley Otland. That preview event that we're talking about, the Bull Ring, is free on their social media networks. So Speed 51 not only here covering the Smart Modified events in 2021. Zach Evans is here manning our camera, and we have our team back at our home base helping bring you some of the sights and sounds that you see. And I can almost guarantee that we may have a Smart Modified driver on deck as far as Monday's show. And again, you can catch that 5 p.m. on the Speed 51 Facebook page and their social media outlets. And it's also typically available in podcast form the following morning. And what led us into that thought, Hosfeld was actually on after his runner-up finish that he had at South Boston. And he talked a lot about his involvement with the series, but more importantly, the big story around Chuck Hosfeld was the fact that he was going to retire. I think for all of us, we're happy that he didn't, because he is obviously still proving he can get it done. And Hosfeld has been a thrill every time he gets with this race team, and he signals a huge level of confidence as he works his way down to the inside of the Citrus Safe Choose cone after the race leader and Frank Fleming chose the outside. So Fleming, who again put on that sticker tire on the right rear very early in this race, put himself on the outside of the front row for what will be an ensuing restart, with Hosfeld trying to get the one that got away from South Boston back to him with the driver that beat him to the line the last time we were at a racetrack in Virginia with the Spa Tour, Ryan Preece, on his back bumper. Brian Lofton will be on the outside of row 2 of Bobby Labonte. And in that 24 car, the driver who admits he does not always qualify that well, the Mayberry Bullet, the Buddy Ellis 24, John Smith working his way to the front again late as we get set for the restart. Into the Fatheads restart zone they come. Fleming outside the leader. Hosfeld down low. We're back underway.
Well, the outside lane has been the place to be on the starts and restarts tonight. Look at Fleming go by about 2 car lengths hold the lead, while Brian Lofton tries to make the outside work. Lofton still working the top side of the racetrack. Hosfeld down low. And James Savali's back up into the top 5. Where did he come from? Savali, who had that impressive charge early in this race, while Hosfeld drives for the lead off 2. Fleming trying to hang tough on the outside as Hosfeld has the lead at the line. Side by side for the lead in the Kenny Minter Classic. Top 6 now double wide. Fleming by a nose, the leader at the stripe. Preece cements 3rd. Savali's trying to come through for 4th. Then Fleming holds the lead. What a drive. 62-year-old Frank Fleming doing an amazing job holding off the cars behind him that put on their fresh tire late. Bosfeld has elected to back it down momentarily. Priest starting to knock on the door. He's able to hold that car a little bit lower than that of Bosfeld off the exit of turn 4. Savali back up to 4th. Burt Myers, your top 5. Bobby Labonte runs just outside the top 5 in 6th, while John Smith is under fire from Dennis Holdren and Brian Lofton in a race for 7th. Burt Myers now working the outside of Savali here. Oh, Savali caught the curb that time off 4. That really upset the car. He's going to lose 4th, but hold on to 5th over Labonte. Fleming about to come up on the back of Jeremy Gersner, who looks like he's going to elect to pull into the pit area. That was close. Priest almost got him, and that checked Priest up big time. And that momentary hiccup by Ryan Priest is going to open the door for Burt Myers to challenge him for 3rd off turn 4. And Labonte has latched on to the quick time setter in qualifying to try to follow him through. Laps are starting to click off quickly. We've got 15 laps to go in the Kenny Minter Classic here at the Franklin County Speedway. Frank Fleming, the only past winner in Smart Modified Tour competition at this racetrack, trying to fend off Chuck Hosfeld, who's got the bit between his teeth, with points leader Myers closing. Bobby Labonte has elected that it's go time. He's coming from 4th. Here comes Myers, working the outside of the racetrack here on Hosfeld. The fastest car in qualifying is trying to move up into a race-winning position. Myers, who has had a great season, 2 top 3 finishes. But he wants to get to victory lane, and he wants it now for the lead in turn 1. Fleming trying to hang tough on the outside. Burt Myers to the point. Oh, crash, front straightaway. Jason Myers in the wall. Myers, whose car comes to rest just past the start-finish line, may have sustained some damage to the left front suspension of that car. And what a reversal of fortunes for the Myers brothers. Just as Burt Myers takes the lead, Jason Myers catches the wall on the front stretch and will slow the field with about 11 laps to go. I'm going to credit track announcer Guinness here at the Franklin County Speedway. He said that 4 car just scoofed the wall a little bit on the front straightaway. And even though the pits are still closed, he is still electing to stay out. You see some damage there on the front Nerf bar, but it does not appear to be enough to keep him out of contention. Another check taking place on Chuck Hosfeld's car. The driver out of Ransomville, New York. We mentioned runner-up finish at South Boston. Running in the top 3 here. And they're trying to see what's going on with that PSR Products number 17. And unfortunately, they are directing Hosfeld to the pit area. And initially, there was not any evidence of fluid coming out on the racetrack, but you see Chris Honeycutt just kind of pointed out, and it is visible from our vantage point at the start-finish line. So one of the heavy hitters in Hosfeld is not going to be able to capture the victory here at Franklin County Speedway. What about this race at the front of the pack? Ryan Priest has elected to come down to the pit lane. Obviously, they don't think they have what it takes to get the job done with the way that car is set up right now. Also concerned he may not have enough time to get back to the front with 11 laps to go, but things could get crazy with Myers looking for his first win of the season to try to extend the championship points lead. Frank Fleming, who runs second. Remember, they put on their one and only change tire very early in this race. And Bobby Labonte, I know many of us had the opportunity to listen to Bobby in his interview he had on Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s podcast and the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Download, or Dale Jr. Download as it's called. And he mentioned how much fun that he has driving these cars. He admitted after a runner-up finish at Florence, he wasn't sure if he timed it right as far as when to push hard and get the most out of whatever tire he had left late in the going. He set the fastest lap of the race with 2 laps to go, but what does he have in store here? Labonte's going to be restarting third. The question is, will he want to be behind Myers, who may be a tick faster than Fleming right now? Or does he have his own bit of a mind made up? And because of the timing of the caution, Frank Fleming is going to restart out front. We revert back to the previous lap at the moment of caution. And Fleming was the leader at the time they hit the line, and he will be the first to hit the Citrus Safe Choose Cone. Fleming chooses outside. Myers and Labonte inside. Savali is going to try to get up there and see if he can follow Fleming to the front in that outside lane. As the sun begins to set here at Franklin County Speedway, this is what modified racing at this part of the country is all about. Coming down to another thrilling finish. Pretty much every race of the Smart Modified Tour this season has been like this. You just don't know who has the fastest car at this point in the race, and we're about to find out. 11 laps away before we see one of these drivers hoist what is an absolutely beautiful trophy honoring Kenny Minter in this Kenny Minter Classic. Only one of them is going to have the chance to do it. Who's it going to be? Fleming is the leader outside as they approach the Fatheads restart zone. Burt Myers inside. Here we go. 11 laps to settle it. And Myers front the tires big time there on the restart. Savali to second and looking for the lead. Dennis Holdren gets squeezed up into the wall. And Priest got the wall as well. Caution is out. The home track favorite, Dennis Holdren, who appeared to be perhaps en route to his second top 5 finish. And look at this, conflict here in turn 2. Chris Williams has put the binders, Chris Flemke. What is wrong with me here? Chris Fleming has put the binders on Ryan Priest there in turn 2. So much happening after these two have had some contact here. Caught a quick glimpse of it there as they came out of turn number 2. I saw Priest hit the wall. Evidently, he thought that the 13 car had something to do with it. And at the same time, we saw Dennis Holdren get up into the fence on the backstretch, and that car would not let go of the turn 3 wall. And look at the damage there to that Randy Renfro and Coulter Motorsports number 2 of Ryan Priest. It will not be back-to-back wins for the driver who is set to head over to Darlington, South Carolina tomorrow, and what will be a 400-mile assault to see what he can do on one of the trickiest tracks and also abrasive tracks. That's been the theme for Priest this weekend. Unfortunately, he's going to get a bit of a head start back there as he will not be celebrating his second win of the season. So much going on earlier there. I misspoke, said that was Chris Williams in that 13 car. Of course, Chris does race himself. Chris has done so much for the Smart Modified Tour Series. He's established an incredible team, many of which are doing this simply for their love of the sport. And it's because of all the hard work and dedication of our Smart Modified team, from our officials, our tech crew members, and all the partners that we have that make this possible. And it stems from top to bottom, including our friends at Speed 51 TV, who give us an opportunity to send these races to those who cannot be at the racetrack. Well, it's going to be Dennis Holdren going on the hook. The timing of this caution is going to be interesting. We did not complete a lap here. So we will revert back to what should be the previous lap at the time of the caution, and that should move Burt Myers back up into second. So a heartbreaker for the Mike Dowdy-O, number 07 of Holdren. As we mentioned, he's got a short drive back home, but he was really looking to ride that wave of momentum, and a lot of fans here were cheering for the driver, that number 07. As we mentioned, out of Roanoke, Virginia, is that of Holdren, and starting to find his stride in this season. I mean, he's currently 5th in the standings. But it will not be today at Franklin County for Holdren to celebrate a top 3 finish. So a lot of contact off the exit of turn number 2 as this race starts to get physical with so much on the line. And Frank Fleming, regardless of the outcome here, Frank has something to be proud of. We mentioned numerous times, and this stat was brought to us by our friend Justin Mincy. Frank is the only driver in the field that has a previous Smart Modified win here at this racetrack. He is 62 years old, and after talking to him pre-race, he had an air of confidence about him, even though they were not sold on what their pit strategy was going to be just yet. They elected to put that change tire on earlier than everybody else, and he has so far been able to fend off all challengers. The last restart was to near perfection after Burt Myers spun the back tires through the Fatheads restart zone, but he's got to re-rack and do it again.
So while Dennis Holdren's car gets dropped back by his pit area, his crew will start doing the work they need to in order to dismantle that car and get it loaded up. The Citrus Safe Choose Cone is back on the main straightaway for what, again, will be an attempt at an 11-lap sprint to the checkers for the Smart Modified Tour. Fleming takes outside. Second verse is going to be same as the first. Fleming on the top, Myers down low. He's certainly going to be looking for a better launch this time. Bobby Labonte picks inside of row 2. James Savali outside of row 2 after he got up in the second the last time we tried this. And the Mayberry Bullet in John Smith, again charging his way through the pack as he and Savali have been passing a ton of cars here tonight. Rounds out your top 5. That's been the story for Smith this season. Can he find a way to squeeze out a win late in the going from that 5th position? Chris Fleming is going to restart outside in the 13 after the game of bumper tag with Ryan Priest in 1 and 2. Then it's going to be Daniel Yates in 7th, Jason Myers in 8th, Jeremy Gerstner from the spin, and Brian Lofton your top 5, while Brian Weber remains the last car on the racetrack as we get set to settle this thing. 4th race of the season is going to see its 4th different winner. Who's it going to be? Fleming and Myers bring us to the Fathead restart zone. We're back underway. Look at Savali through the middle. Fleming kicked up high. Savali to the lead. Fleming gets squeezed down there as his brother cut him a break. 10 laps to go. Savali to the lead. Labonte with a good run out of 2. Looking for second here on Myers, who gave a warning shot to Savali that time in 1 and 2. Burt Myers going to try the outside here for the race lead off 2. Bobby Labonte waiting in the wings while Savali tries to hold the top spot here. Myers starting to draw even off a 2. Burt Myers is there. Side by side for the lead. Savali runs him way up the track. Labonte down low for second. Savali making that car as wide as he can off the corner. How long is Myers going to be able to put up with that here as Labonte now hunts the bottom? And John Smith is watching it all out the windshield. Myers by half a car length in 3 with the lead. Savali sends it in and shoves him wide. Myers sideways, keeps it off the wall. And Myers has a problem. Burt Myers off the pace and up the racetrack, and that will slow the field with the caution out. Wow. Wow. Burt Myers is going to come to the attention of his crew. I don't know how he kept that car from making significant contact with the wall. And the team is having a look at the left front of that car after Savali went full send in turn 3. Came up the racetrack and caught Burt there while battling for the lead and trying to fend him off. And the crew's got some work to do. The fear may be that there could be some suspension damage there on Myers' car. And keep in mind, coming into tonight, Burt Myers was the points leader. Jason Myers was second. And both of them now having problems in this race with what is going to be a 6-lap shootout. So Savali, who has shown that he is more than willing and capable to make that car as wide as he can with the 2000 Cup Series champion Bobby Labonte on his coattails for what will be a 6-lap shootout. And how about John Smith? We told the story how he has won the Carolina Drilling Blast in the Front Award twice in 3 races. He admits he is not the best of qualifiers, but he appears to put himself in the right place at the right time in these races, and he may be in the catbird seat running in 3rd. For those of you here at the racetrack or watching at home on Speed 51 TV, this has been incredible. It is one of the reasons why we circle our calendars when the Smart Modified Tour has plans to be at an event. And again, this one was put together relatively last minute. And as you can see, the support from the competitors has been absolutely astonishing. And the racing has been some of the best that you will ever see in modified competition, bar none. And I don't think we're done yet. Unfortunate heartbreak for Ryan Preece as he was trying to get his way back up towards the front of the pack. And if you're wondering about the rest of the slate, the Smart Modified Tour, as they come to the Citrus Safe Choose Cone, Savali elects the inside. Bobby Labonte elects the top. Tentatively, our next race is slated to be at Callaway Speedway on July 3rd, 4th of July weekend. But first, we've got to wrap up these 6 laps here at Franklin County. So far tonight, the outside lane seems to be the preferred lane. Frank Fleming proved that earlier, even on that older tire. And now Bobby Labonte, who is running in second, finds himself in that outside spot with Savali, who has been very willing to get rough if he has to, starting on the bottom. John Smith's going to roll off in 3rd on this restart with Frank Fleming up top, Chris Fleming in 3rd, Daniel Yates 6th. What a topsy-turvy race it's been. 6 laps to the checkers in the Kenny Minter Classic. Savali and Labonte bring us back down to green. And that time it was Labonte who spun his tires on the outside. Smith to second, maybe. Labonte trying to hang tough up top while Savali leads them out of 4. Boy, Labonte almost took the wall down there out of turn 4. He's still trying to work the top side. 4 laps to go. Labonte there with a tap to the backside of that 24 car. Remember, he had some seat time in this car at the end of last season. Now outside comes Labonte. Little tuck back in line. Oh, Labonte climbs over the back Nerf bar of Smith, but he's able to keep it straight. That's given Savali all the running room he needs. 2 laps to go. Labonte trying to make the top work. Top 3 under a blanket. Here we come to the white flag. Savali gets a nudge from behind while Labonte leads in the white flag. Savali into Labonte, and he spins in turn 2. Caution is out. Boy, Bobby Labonte did everything he had to put himself in what could have been a race-winning position down in turn number 1. Savali looked as though he might have even clipped the grass. He sent it in so hard in turn 1. He catches the left rear of Bobby Labonte's car. And it slows the field for what we are getting set for, what will be a 2-lap shootout with Labonte now, tail end of the pack. Boy, and you got a feel for Bobby Labonte. As Guinness mentioned earlier, Bobby's celebrating his birthday here today, tonight, on May 8th, which we're kicking this Kenny Minter Classic off. And he and his team have been doing everything possible. Was talking earlier to his spotter, Brent Wentz, about sight lines here, as most of the spotters are positioned on what is a bit of a perch in the middle of the back straightaway. And I'm sure that Wentz was letting Labonte know that he was in the preferred spot there on the outside of turn 1, but there was nothing they could do about that one as Savali caught him, trying to hold on to the lead. Savali obviously does not have the best car, but that thing can launch on the restart. It has been physical on more than one occasion. We've seen Burt Myers spin the tires, lining up alongside. We've seen Bobby Labonte spin the tires while trying to restart next to Savali. Now it's going to be potentially John Smith if he chooses to pick the opposite lane in which Savali wants to lead this field down for the green flag. Getting up through the gears in that fat-end restart zone and not spinning the back tires could make or break the outcome of this race. The Citrus Safe Choose cone is on the main straightaway, and Savali will be the first to choose his fate. Savali again is going to take the bottom. Smith is going to follow. Hello, Jason Myers. Jason Myers, who brought out 2 cautions in this race, one of which damaged the front Nerf bar on that car. If he's thinking about using it, it's not going to be as square as it was when he took the green flag. Is going to have a shot at Savali here on the front row. It's been an absolutely incredible evening here with the Hannibasson Road Collision Center Kenny Minter Classic 110 presented by Smart Chevrolet. And it's only fitting this race comes down to a green-white checker. Savali doing everything he has to hold on to the lead. Jason Myers up top. Here they come. 2 laps to settle it. Savali with a great launch. Contact turn 2. Everybody's able to keep it rolling. Savali holds the lead. Smith and Myers side by side for second. 1 to go. Some of the cars tangling in turn 4. Here's the race for the lead on the backstretch. Smith inside for the race lead. Here they come to the checkered flag. John Smith with a last lap pass. Wins it at Franklin County. What a finish! Well, we may have gotten off to a little bit of a slow start after a delay before we kicked off practice for the Smart Modified Tour. But boy, have they delivered in a big, big way. What a thriller. A last lap pass. An unbelievable job by a driver who has yet to visit victory lane, but has proven on more than one occasion that he knows how to work his way to the front. So many have assembled their way on the main straightaway for an opportunity to celebrate with the Mayberry Bullet and John Smith. Chris Williams, one of the men responsible for the revitalization of this tour and all that he's been able to accomplish to get Southern Modified Racing back to where it's supposed to be. One of the first to come down here and congratulate Smith, who had a remarkable job and an amazing pass off the last corner on the last lap. Smith told us one of the interesting factoids on the night, and that was the fact he's been to victory lane here before, but it was in a go-kart back in the early 2000s when they used to run go-kart races here. And here he comes out of the car, your winner at Franklin County, John Smith. John Smith on the roof of the car celebrating this one with the Kenny Minter Classic trophy in hand. What an incredible job. John, we talked earlier. You said you've been here before. You said you won here before. There's a couple of crew members here for Bobby Labonte's camp come over to celebrate. John, this racetrack is tough. It's no go-kart, though, but you still figured it out. Incredible drive up through the pack. And what about that last lap pass? That was incredible.
Yeah, I knew, James, he's hard-nosed, and I knew I had to, but he can give it out, he can dish it, but he can take it. He's a hell of a racer, one-man Taliban. We've always raced hard, but, pretty fair, I guess. But, man, if you'd ever thought that when this race started I could win this race, but we played our cards right. Travis, all these guys, man, I really don't know what to say. And Kenny Minter, I watched him at 311 Speedway driving the Fuzzy's Barbecue R&W Siding, which sponsors me now. So I seen his boy come up and hug me, and this is the biggest, probably the one. I've had some good wins, but I'm telling you, this ranks on up there. I tell you that. Just think all these guys, Buddy and Lisa Ellis at Merrifast, Don D. Stone, R.W. Siding. I got to thank Kurt George, Crossroads Performance. He stayed with me last night till 11 o'clock, changing fuel pumps and carburetors and everything else. And, just thank a good Lord for a good day. That's all I can say.
Incredible job, John. And I'll tell you one more thing. That move down in turns 3 and 4, did you have that set up on the back straightaway? Did you know you were going to commit to the bottom and just try to hold it on in there to make that pass? I mean, was that the only lap you led today? That's incredible.
Yeah, that was the only one. I guess that's the only one that mattered. But I knew I was going to take the inside. I knew James was going to, protect the bottom all he could. And I knew my only shot was coming down the back straightaway, and he was protecting it and got up the track a little bit, and I bumped him a little bit. We got down here in 1 and 2, and I got him up high and got under him. And, man, we went down the back straightaway. I knew I wasn't going to give, and he wasn't going to give, and it was just a hell of a race back to the line. Man, it's just this is pretty awesome.
Well, thank you for putting on the show, John. I'll let you go celebrate with your team. Great job capturing the win tonight. I know it means a lot to you, and I can't wait to see what you got in store for us at Callaway.
Thank you very much.
John Smith, what an amazing job by him to work his way through the pack and able to capture the win here at Franklin County Speedway. Now we're going to turn our attention to what was one of the most exciting cars on the racetrack, James Savali. First off, 16th to the lead, winning that opening stage. Then we saw the handle start to fade a little bit. In the second half, that car came to life again. I mean, what was with that ebb and flow throughout the running? Was that more adjustments they were making there towards the end to get it fast as the track started to change? How were you able to get back to the front of the field after spinning at one point?
Yeah, this track's like that. It's hard on tires, and you got to have the right adjustments during the tire change. And we tightened the car up just a little bit too much and got a little bit too tight there for the end. But we made a lot of adjustments when we were swapping tires, and we were really close, just a little bit too tight.
You and this team have not had the results which you may have deserved to start off the season. The heartbreaker at Florence where you car broke before you even got out on the racetrack. How motivated are you? It looked evident on the racetrack that you were doing everything you had to try to capture that win. How motivated are you to try to get this team in victory lane?
Yeah, definitely. These guys do a lot. You know, it's a struggle every week just to get into the racetrack, and I do my best for them, and I drive the wheels off of us every time.
We certainly put on a show for all these fans and those watching on Speed 51. James Savali, congratulations on a runner-up finish, man.
Thank you.
And now we're going to move on to a driver who captured third in this race. We heard from him earlier in pre-race. And if we come on over here and look at the front Nerf bar on this car, I know that you weren't able to use it at the checkered flag, but
I tell you what, if Fleming hadn't knocked me in the wall down there, I'd have sure liked to have some of that bumper sticking out. Because I probably sure would have used it. Them guys up front are wild, wasn't it? These fans got their money's worth. Y'all should have paid $30 a piece to get in here tonight. My goodness, what a race.
so 2 cautions that you were involved in. We saw that you were running at the tail end of the pack, I think with 11 to go, and you wind up towards the front with a shot to win. I mean, you're second in points. I know you said earlier you want to get back to victory lane. It's been a while, but to salvage this on this kind of night, it's got to just keep the momentum rolling for you in this season, no?
It really does. You know, when I got in the wall down here, I hit so hard, I honestly thought my night was over. And I got the car turned around and got straight, and my steering wheel was off about a half a round, so I had to take it off and straighten it up. So I knew the front end was out of shape. But I pit and put my tire on later than everybody else, so I had a little bit better tire at the end. The 79 and the 24, I had a better car, but I mean, where was I going? You know what I mean? Those guys were knocking each other sideways, and the 25 turns around down there, and dude, I'm telling you what, I feel. I didn't know what to ask my spotter. I said, where am I supposed to go, man? I mean, literally there was nowhere to go. But, yeah, I mean, to salvage a third-place finish with this thing beat up like this and being in the wall, and, you know, I got to thank my guys, man. You know, we're a low-budget, short-handed team, man, and they can come out here and run good. Congratulations to John. What a heck of a race for those guys. But, you know, that win's coming, man. It is. We just got to get it just right. Our car wasn't set up for a long run. I tried to ride and take care of it, and then I tried to pit late to have a little better tire at the end, pit strategy, and we came up close. We just came up short again.
But still a great season overall. That consistency, I'm not all that good at math, but with Bert's problems, you may get closer to the points lead here with our next race scheduled at Callaway. I know you want to get to victory lane. Callaway, as of right now, is our next one, July 3rd. Is that going to be the next best opportunity for you?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say Callaway is one of my favorite tracks by any means, but I do get around Callaway pretty good. Yeah, I think that's probably my best shot, really, would be Callaway. You know, I've got a lot of laps around there. My car's good there. So, you know, now we're just going to take this thing to Bowman Gray and focus on that for a little while until we can get back to this Smart Tour deal. Man, I love this Smart Tour. What a deal we got. Thanks for this racetrack for letting us come up here and run. I just thank everybody and all the hard work behind the scenes, man. People have no idea what goes on.
Well, this tour wouldn't be what it is wasn't for drivers like you and everybody who comes out to support it. Jason, great job today, man. Even with all the adversity to come home with a third-place finish. We'll see you in a couple months.
I appreciate it.
That, again, is Jason Myers, and that is our top 3 finishers here at the Franklin County Speedway. As we mentioned, next scheduled race for the Smart Modified Tour is July 3rd at Callaway Speedway. That's where we will have these racers back in action while many of them start to turn their attention to the Madhouse at Bowman Gray Stadium. But there is more racing action here to come. As a matter of fact, I'm going to turn the microphone back over to Guinness as he will be calling the action for, I believe, will be our last 2 events and our nightcap here on what's been an incredible day of racing. It'll be hard to outdo that one. Congratulations to John Smith on getting an incredible and emotional victory. Led only 1 lap, and it was the one that matters, and he's celebrating down here with his team. Well-deserved victory. For those of you who may be heading out, again, you can check out the Smart Modified Tour on social media, see all of our news and upcoming information and dates. Depending on some potential schedule changes, we may add another race or 2 to the slate, which after all that we've went through in the last 2 years, who would have thought that any race season would be able to add races to their calendar? It just speaks volumes about the amount of support that this tour has. As for everybody here at Franklin County Speedway, you guys have been amazing. Thank you all so much for your hospitality. I hope you enjoyed that much as well as we did. In just a few moments, I'll get Guinness back on the mic to call the rest of today's action here from Franklin County.